This is the final design exercise for the Permaculture design course. I've decided to do the design on my own property. This is property we purchased to develop. The sole purpose is to build a self-sufficient homestead. It is not technically a farm. We're located on the southern plains of central Jamaica. This is a tropical location. It is a very hot and dry part of the island. We've come in from the satellite to take a look, show you kind of where we are. This is the site here. It is 10 acres. It is approximately 400 feet by 1,000 feet. This is the roadway that we installed. It is connected to this main road right here, and it is also very close to this main highway. This is a 4-lane highway. There's significant road noise that comes from this highway. Surprisingly more road noise than you would think. One of the great things we have about this property is an irrigation canal. Having the irrigation canal is very useful in establishing our system. This right here is the irrigation canal. You see that it runs directly through the property. It actually splits the property, leaving us with 2 acres on one side of the canal and 8 acres on the other side of the canal. Now let's look at the design. This is a quick view of the zone mapping. You can see where the prevailing winds come from. We've got the irrigation canal marked here. Zone 1 is around the house, the areas that we're in every single day. Zone 2 is more of a set-aside play area for the kids. We have very small children. We want to have an area that they can use to play in, to develop as they develop. If they want to play soccer, we can put a soccer field in. If they want to play basketball, maybe we can put some basketball hoops up. Whatever they do as they grow, this is an area that we've set for them to work and to kind of develop as they develop. Zone 3 contains mostly food forest and grazing areas. We plan on rotationally grazing sheep, goats, chicken, turkeys, and ducks. The plan is to run them on a paddock shifting system where we will rotate them throughout the system. We also have a pond. Now the pond will be a recreational swimming area, but it will also have areas to grow water crops, things like water chestnut or duckweed, and fish. Now Zone 4 is a timber forest. Because of the fact that it's on the other side of the canal, access is difficult. So we've decided to make this a long-term timber forest. We're going to take a quick walk through the property. We're going to start by just heading up the driveway. I do want to take a quick minute. If you look to the right, there is some gray area. This gray area is where there is an existing building, and to be honest, we haven't decided what to do with that building. There is a debate between making it part of the property as a guest house, as a vacation, when friends or family want to visit, there is that house. We could make it a 1-bedroom home reasonably easily, and that is an option. It's also possible we might make it a home just to make it an Airbnb rental, or there's a lot of things, but since that hasn't been high on our list, that isn't something we're addressing in this design, but there is a structure there, and right at this point that's not on our list, but it will be addressed in the future. However, up on the left you can see we have a workshop. This workshop is basically 2 shipping containers with a roof put on top of them. These are 8-foot by 40-foot shipping containers. We will need to bring building materials for the home construction in on the shipping containers. We're just going to set up a workshop here using the shipping containers. At some point we will probably build walls and really make this an actual really nice workshop area, but the design calls for putting the 2 shipping containers with a 20-foot space in between and building a roof over that. This will allow us a secure place to store materials for construction, tools, all kinds of things like that. And as time goes on, we can convert this place. The end goal is to make this a woodworking shop. We could put solar panels on the roof here that would power everything. It's closer to the roadway, which will allow trucks to drop materials off here. This is the design, was to put it here for the trucks to be able to drop materials off. Then from here, we're going to move up to the house. We'll finish up the driveway. You see the house on the left. Before we get into the house, we're going to come over here to the right, because here we've put in a play area for the kids. This is an area that we set aside specifically for the children to have as their play area. Next is the house. Because of building codes, earth berm may not be an option, so our best bet is going to be using insulated concrete forms. Again, building codes require a concrete with steel reinforced structure to withstand hurricanes, and the insulated concrete form allows us the ability to insulate, give us all of the added strength of the concrete with the very good insulation factor. The great room is going to have a raised roof with these windows here. These windows will allow for cooler air to enter as hot air leaves. The hot air will rise through the peak. The prevailing wind will be hitting the east side of the house. That'll be creating this airflow, which creates the hot air pushing out one side while cool air is coming in the other side. Another part of the heat management inside the house is an outdoor kitchen. Having an outdoor kitchen will play a huge role in keeping the heat from being an issue inside the house. The centerpiece of our outdoor kitchen is a wood-burning pizza oven. We also plan on having an outdoor grill, both a gas grill and a wood or charcoal grill, along with a stove cooktop, a refrigerator, and of course running water. The outdoor kitchen will be enclosed by screening, which will allow for an outdoor recreational space on top of the cooking space. Very close to the kitchen will be our main garden area. The way this garden is designed is there are going to be 4 separate growing areas with a chicken coop in the center. At any time, we can let the chickens into these growing beds, and they can manage the growing areas for us. When we're done with an area, instead of getting in there and actually cleaning it or doing, what we'll do is we'll let the chickens into it. The chickens will get in there, they'll clean it all up, they'll tear down the old growth, they'll scratch it up, they'll debug it, they'll fertilize it, and then we'll move them into another area. Any one of these gardens is big enough to grow the vegetables we would need to consume on our property. Next thing we're going to do is look at the pond. The pond has got many key features to it. First and foremost, there's a 25-meter lap lane and a connected play area, so you can both swim laps or have the kids playing in the water. There's an area adjacent to that for a gazebo for people who want to stay in the shade. There's a lot of recreational purposes. As this is a natural swimming pool design, key is to have water plants growing. We can then put trellis work over several of these water-filled areas. We can grow passion fruit or grapes in this area. We can use bubblers connected to airlift pumps to create water circulation through this system. The swimming section will be separated from the rest of it by rock walls that will allow water to flow through, but will not allow for any fish or plants to go into the swimming area. By creating a series of airlift pumps and connecting them to bubblers, we're oxygenating the water and creating a circulation at the same time, which will keep the pond very, very clean. Next, we're going to take a look at the food forests and how they're connected. Here we're just going to take a walk. This is along the food forest. This is the way we'll be grazing our animals. They will be running alongside the food forest. First the sheep and goats, then followed behind a few days later by the chickens, ducks, and turkeys. The food forest is on the downhill side of our main swale. The main swale has dual purpose. It can harvest water when it rains, but it also is able to connect to the irrigation canal. So when we need to, we can open up a gate and get water from the irrigation canal to flood the entire swale network. We plant our food forests in a very specific way. These are 110-foot long stretches, and they have 4 main canopy trees. These are large, fast-growing fruit trees. Things like jackfruit, mango, star apple, breadfruit, large canopy fruiting trees. To the south of that, we have 2 rows of smaller subcanopy trees. This can be anything from citrus to star fruit to Djibouti kabas, even cashews, whatever we can get to grow that's a smaller subcanopy. In amongst that, we plant different shrubs. There's a lot of options here. We use sweet potato as a ground cover, and as these trees get large enough for us to grow vines in them, we will be putting some vanilla and some peppercorns as vining crops to go in amongst the trees. Because the property is almost completely flat, we build what I call a branch. The branch is a series of banana circles. These banana circles are tied to the main swale, so when rain fills the swale, it'll also fill all of these banana circles with water. After we dig the trench and dig the banana circles, we pack all of it with organic matter, and this holds that moisture in place. We put a branch on both sides of every food forest. So we have a food forest, a branch, a food forest, a branch, a food forest. The hard clay soil here doesn't irrigate very well. By having this branch fill with water 60 feet into the food forests, each one of them helps increase the irrigation into this very tough, very compacted clay soil. Because of the way this system both is a swale and part of the irrigation network, we're able to tie it all together, flood the entire system from the irrigation canal when we go an extended time without enough rain to irrigate. On the other side of the canal, we have our Zone 4 timber forest. We have 3 fast-growing timber trees. In our case, we're using mahogany, cedar, and silky oak. These 3 trees are planted on the corners of a 30-foot equilateral triangle. We bisect each one of those and create another equilateral triangle of 15 feet. We then plant each of these triangles using 3 more slower growing subcanopy type trees. In our case, we're using ebony, teak, and lignum vitae. This pattern will allow for us to grow 6 different trees in a 30-foot triangle. And by repeating this pattern, we will never have 2 trees of the same species planted next to each other. By planting in this manner, we will reduce pest and disease pressure on these trees. Once established, we will leave this area alone for the most part. This is why this will be the perfect location for us to put our beehives. By putting them along the edge of the forest, next to the irrigation canal, we will be giving the bees the best location for them to thrive. Easy access to water, protection in the forest, plenty of trees for them to gain pollen and nectar from all of the food forest trees that will be growing. Because we'll be able to put the bees right on the border between Zone 3 and Zone 4, they're not going to be bothered by any of the animals that we rotate through here, but they will be very close to the food forest. Bees don't need the kind of attention that chickens or other animals do, so putting them in the Zone 4 forest gives them a place where they won't be disturbed, and they're less likely to bother the kids or the animals for that matter. The last thing for us to look at is the property line. Here in Jamaica, people use fire all the time in their farming. They burn organic matter, they burn off grass, they burn a lot of things. And the problem is that those fires tend to get out of control. More than once I've had fire roll from my neighbor's property onto our land. So to battle this, and also as kind of a barrier to stop people and animals from crossing, what we're doing is planting a row of lemon trees that are going to be irrigated through part of the irrigation system by digging a trench that's connected to the swale system that is also connected to the irrigation canal. We will be able to run water along this area and irrigate a full row of lemon trees running the entire length of the property line. Lemons can be useful as a border crop. The spikes tend to deter people and animals from crossing. By running this irrigation trench, we'll make sure that there's water here as a fire break to keep the fires from rolling across our property and protecting everything we have here. And that is our system, guys. And that is the end of our design. Anyone have any questions? Leave them in the comments below. Happy to discuss it with anybody. Thank you.